All right, my name is Peter Lane, and I'm the Director of Development for the Delta Chi Educational Foundation, and I am joined today by a good friend of mine, John Tunila of the Connecticut chapter. John is a OWC Honoree. He served as a BB for his chapter, and he served with the Delta Chi Educational Foundation Board of Directors for several years in many different capacities. Thank you for taking some time to sit down with us here today.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, good. So first of all, start off telling everybody, why did you join Delta Chi? Was there a person or a series of events? What was that experience like?
It's an interesting story, I think. My high school experience was not great. I was not an athlete. I was not overly scholarly, and my high school was very cliquish, and I didn't really fit in, I felt. I went to UConn in freshman year, about 4 weeks into my first semester. A couple of Delta Chi's came specifically to see my roommate. And he was a track guy, and they were recruiting athletes, and so they gave their spiel. And it sounded pretty interesting, and they asked him, "Why don't you join Delta Chi?" And he said, "Not interested." And I don't know why I said it, but I said I'd be interested. And so they invited me to a social event that Friday night. And I went to the event, and it was a very welcoming environment, and I felt like I fit in, and I felt very accepted, and I had a good time, and ended up joining the fraternity.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Was there a particular guy or a group of guys? What were their names that got you involved?
Well, the guy who walked in the room was a guy named David Liss, and he was on the Rush Committee, and then he picked me up and dragged me off to the social event. The president at the time was a guy named Mark Fitzgerald, who was a tall guy, very charismatic, and it was a very welcoming event. And all the guys there really seemed to have a camaraderie that just impressed me.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to have been invited to the Connecticut chapter alumni golf tournament this past year, and I got a chance to hang out with a lot of those guys. And it's a very welcoming group of guys. You all have camaraderie and whatnot, but very open to, especially a Southerner coming in and wrecking the show. But you guys were great. I did not know that Mark Fitzgerald was the A when you joined.
Yes, he was.
That's neat. I had the big grin because I know him, and he's a great guy. He's another donor for the foundation. So
and the core group of people that you met at that golf tournament is the same core group of people that I met 35 years ago. And those friendships have endured and actually strengthened over the last 35 years. So we're still the same crowd, and it's just so neat to get together for either the golf tournament or we do an alumni football tailgate, and those friendships just last.
It's fun to see. Now tell us a little bit about why you've stayed engaged. And I know that some of it is the friendships, but what's kept you involved at Delta Chi these years and continuing to give your time, talent, and treasure?
There's a couple of reasons. One is a recognition that Delta Chi cannot thrive without alumni support. The Nationals do a tremendous job and are very dedicated, and the undergrads, they work hard at supporting Delta Chi in their undergraduate experience. But left to those two resources alone, Delta Chi won't thrive. Delta Chi needs more money than the undergrads can pay, and so we need to supplement the support of the educational components of the fraternal experience with fundraising to help them out. And then there's also a mentoring factor. Alumni are just necessary to lead the way and to show the way into building leaders of tomorrow.
Who are some of the impactful alumni in your own Delta Chi experience that you have looked up to over the years?
Well, I think most people would say Ray Galbraith.
Okay.
I met Ray when I was a sophomore. He came to UConn, and it was a regional leadership conference. And here I am. I'm just in the second year of my fraternal experience, and the national president comes in. And for those who have never met Ray, I mean, he is just such a folksy, enjoyable guy, just such a quality guy. And so he obviously would be near the top of the list, or in that group at the top of the list. Brother Mike Carroll, there is no finer a Delta Chi out there. I've never heard Mike say a crossword about anybody. His positiveness and his ability to see the good side of everybody is just transcends and is really powerful.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Now, you've been on the board of directors for a handful of years and have served in many different capacities. You're an attorney by trade.
That I am.
And what are some things that you are excited about that you may have seen over the past few years, and then looking forward for the foundation and Delta Chi in general?
Well, I think the fraternal experience today is more important than ever.
Why do you say that?
Well, we live in a very polarized society, and we live in a society that doesn't seem to know how to come together, doesn't seem to know how to work with each other for the greater good. And when I joined Delta Chi at the time, we were the most racially diverse chapter on campus. We were religiously diverse. And being a state school, we were made up of kids from all income groups. And so we didn't agree on everything. There were cultural differences, but we had to learn to work to figure this out, and we did. And we became friends.
Yeah.
And we might not disagree, we might not agree with each other 100% on everything all the time, but that never interfered with our friendship. It never interfered with our common purpose. And I think that's what's missing today in society, is that ability to work with each other. And that's a true skill that you learn in the fraternal experience. You can't be polarized and just say, no, I'm not going to do it. You're going to have to reach a resolution with your brothers. Otherwise, the social event doesn't occur, or the fundraiser doesn't occur.
Right, absolutely. Well, thank you for sitting down to take some time with us today here. In closing, is there anything else you would like to add?
Long live Delta Chi.
Long live Delta Chi. Thank you, John.
Thank you, my friend.